Hello and welcome to the French Watch Collector. Today on the bench, you see we have a pretty beat up watch. We have a Seiko Chronograph that I'm shaking straight away just to wind it because I cannot wind this watch manually. Yeah, it's a special watch. First, it's a chronograph from Seiko from the 70s, which is always nice. And you will see this one is a special one. It's called a Flyback Chronograph. So you see now, I'm going to reset the watch and it starts straight away. I don't have to stop it and restart. I can restart it and it will restart straight away. So yeah, that's a nice function. It's a nice complication. It's the first time that I will work on a flyback chronograph, and yeah, there is quite a lot of work to do on this watch. You can see, yeah, on the state and the look of this watch. The chronograph is working. Looks like we can reset it. Gonna check a couple more things on the watch. See if the when we pull on the crown, which is pretty hard actually to pull, it's like very thin. And on this vintage Seiko movement, you could not wind manually the watch. You had to wind it. That's why I was shaking the watch. You can only wind it by moving it. We have the quick set date, which is working. See if the time is changing. Yeah, we can change the time. So that's good. Looks that's working. And at the time, I did not figure it out, but actually there is a quick set date function for the day. And you see the date is jumping when it's at midnight or close to midnight, so that's good. We see the number there at the back, which is a 7016 5011 model, which is as well called the Seiko, the Monaco, because obviously it's in shape, it's pretty close to the Monaco from Tag Heuer. So yeah, that's what it's called sometimes the Monaco. So I would like to do a special announcement. Orotech is doing a giveaway, and I just started to use this beautiful screwdriver from Orotech. They look very nice. They are very nice colors, very nice to handle. So if you want to win the same set, I will just put down in the description of the video the link to go on the Instagram page from Orotech, and you can win this beautiful set of screwdriver. Okay, there I just opened the case, which is very strange as well to open this case. You have a pusher and you have a case opening in two parts, and look at the amount of dirt. Oh, that's disgusting that there is a in this case. So with a piece of wood there, we try to remove as much dirt as I can. We'll get a bit later on a case and to clean it and restore it as better as much as I can. And look at the amount of dirt that there is. If you want some information on the tools that I'm using in the video, I put some link down in the description with some of the tools, but obviously not everything is there. So if you have any question, just put a comment down below and I will be more than happy to reply to your comment. Okay, so I just removed the crystal and you see you have these seals around that need to be changed, which is very disgusting. And now we are left with the mechanism and the dial and hands in the case. So just align the hand to midnight, and by protecting that will allow me protection over the dial. Can remove the hand with the presso tool by lifting them up. That's it. Just going to place them in this little box just to make sure they don't get lost, they don't get damaged. And we have this sub-second hand from the chronograph. We have the minute one, which is on the top there. I'm removing, which is pretty tight to be fair. Always use my carbon tweezer tips there just to make sure I don't damage the dial. And we have this hand, which is a hour hand, which is very hard to get. And you see, I remove the hand, I left the center on the poser. We just remove that later on, and I will fix this as well when we reassemble the watch. Okay, so to remove the crown and the winding stem, just have to pull apart below there. You see a little hole which is made for it. And actually, I could not reach. I will reach with this tweezer there, and that's it. Ah, that's a big relief because I was very afraid. And the first time I work on this mechanism, that I would not be allowed to remove or able to remove the mechanism. But yes, I did. Okay, just release the dial feed screw there. Just I can release obviously the dial. Beautiful dial. with this sunburst effect on the gray and this sub-dial like with the blue. I really like the design of this watch, and the dial looks pretty clean for the age of the watch, which is a watch which is probably from the 70s. If you know, or if you figure it out, because I'm not a Seiko expert. Yeah, if you figure it out, just put a comment down below if you can figure it out, the age of this watch. Okay, just removing now. We remove obviously the movement from the case, and we start the disassembly. Just first by removing this sear clips on top there. It will give me access to this day ring, day disc, sorry. There we go. Look at this dried up. Wow, the grease. That's not good. So yeah, this movement probably did not see a service for a long time. You see how the oil and grease is fully seized and dried up. That's not good for a movement. Obviously, you will lose a lot of amplitude. You will lose a lot of accuracy. And as well, if it's become as well too hard, when the parts are moving between each other, it can make them wear down a lot quicker if you have a hard substance in between, if you want like two parts which are moving between each other. So yeah, that's why you need to service your watch at a regular interval. And like all good mechanical system, if it's serviced, if it's maintained properly, it will last forever. But if you don't maintain it or you don't service it, for sure you will reduce the life of your product by a lot. So yeah, that's very important to service your watch if you want to keep it and pass it on to your children, and that your children will be able to pass it on to your grandchildren and so on. You need to have it serviced properly. Yeah. Okay, so we put all the parts, like the delicate parts, back in this case there, and it will be safely stored away. And we can carry on the disassembly. Now just removing few parts on the dial side, which is a part for the chronograph, sorry, the calendar mechanism. And I just want to get access to this cannon pinion that I just want to remove. So later on, I will be able to release the center wheel because it's friction mounted on the center wheel. Okay, so now I move on the balance side, and I have the automatic device there. You see a tiny bit of play on a bearing, but it's not touching anything, so that's okay. It's not grinding on the parts below, so that's good. Just unscrewing there the parts. That's it. And below we have this reverse threaded screw there. You see with the 3 line on the screwdriver head. That's it. Removing a tiny little sear clip there, which is holding a wheel underneath. And I need to remove it if I want to release as well the bridge on top. Just removing the screw. So there is like a couple of 3 screws actually on this bridge. But to remove the bridge, I will remove the screw first. You see there as well the number of the movement, which is a 716A. There may be different version, maybe a B version, but this is probably the first one, or else it will be not be called the A. Yeah. Removing the ratchet wheel, and you can see like a lot of like grease and like I don't know, dried up oils on all the parts. So that's the point of what we are doing right now. We are disassembling each single parts, and all these parts we go into later on into little baskets that we go in a cleaning machine, and this will allow. Oh, there is a hair there. That's strange, yeah. And like I said, all the part will get clean, and this will allow to remove all the dirts and dried up oil or grease, and we try to get the parts as good as when they were new, basically. Yeah. Okay, this part is a bit tricky to remove. So if you like the video, it would be very nice if you can subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell icon because I try to put a video once a week, so you will get a notification. And if you push, obviously, if you like the video, push a like. That will help me to promote the video and get more subscriber and keep me motivated as well to put more and more content on my channel. So thanks in advance for your support. Okay, carry on to remove parts on the mechanism. And you see this chronograph is very, very different compared to a Swiss chronograph. To be fair, I don't recognize, or at the first time, I did not recognize almost anything compared to a Swiss chronograph, which actually I like. It's one of my favorite mechanism, and I even watch. I love chronograph watches, so I love to work on chronograph. But I could not recognize any of the parts almost. Like it's a totally different way to make a chronograph. I will explain a bit more when we reassemble the movement how it works, but yeah, it's very, very different. And this is what I like about this hobby and this passion is when you work on watches, a lot of calibers are very, very different. And even if you work like on Swiss, like a Tissot, a Jaeger, Omega, Rolex, they will have differences in a caliber. They will do stuff differently, and so it's never get boring. And as well, when you restore a watch which is broken or which has a problem, yeah, it's never the same problem. You have always have to troubleshoot to understand where it's coming from. So both of these things it make it it's never boring. And you see there, obviously, it's a movement which is from the other side of the world. It's like from Japan, and like yes, a Japanese engineer or watchmaker, they did things very differently compared to the Swiss, because obviously in Switzerland, like I said, the movements, like for example, you take a chronograph between brands, it will not be the same, but like it will have a lot of similarity. Here, the similarity are really thin. Like there is almost none. Like obviously you have a balance wheel and escape and pallet fork, but the chronograph mechanism is done in a very different way. And this is what I like about this hobby. Like I said, it never get boring. You always discover different things, and when you think about as well, oh, that's clever. Like the way they thought about how they design a movement, and like yeah, to do the same thing, they just did it a completely different way. And what is very different as well on this Seiko movement compared to other Swiss movement is the level of finish and decoration. On Swiss movement, like especially from this era or even before, sometimes you open it and you find like beautiful movement, like beautiful finish, beautiful like which is like maybe the color or the plating, like the hand finish, like the beveling, the Côte de Genève, the whatever the finish that they put on movement. And at the time, they did not have like see-through case back, sorry. So the level of finish was most of it was only the watchmaker that was seeing this type of finish and beauty, if you want. But yeah, in Switzerland, they took a lot of pride just to have like a movement that was well decorated. It was a sign of craftsmanship, yeah. And but you see there, like Seiko is not at all the same philosophy on this movement. There is almost no decoration, maybe like some different kind of graining on some parts, but that's it, yeah. And they were purely focused on maybe like I don't know what was the price of these watches, if they were cheap or no, but like the cost efficiency, but like more the efficiency of the movement. Like it needed to be like a movement that run very nicely and robust. But the decoration was not in their plan. Yeah, it was like not one of their priority. And you see there the Swiss movement again is a different philosophy. So yeah, that's very interesting as well when you work on these vintage watches. You will see a lot of different things, and like I said, it never gets boring. Okay, so I finished to remove the last few parts on the mechanism. See this big spring there, which is this long arm. There we go. Just removing the last few parts on a keyless work. And the last, you see these parts as well, the way they had to machine these parts. They are so like the shape is like quite quite extreme. Like probably done in manufacture this part in one piece of metal. Yeah, just cleaning like all the jewels with a piece of pegwood, just to remove as much dried up oil or grease. Again, it will improve and make the cleaning process a lot better and easier. Just placing back the balance wheel on the movement, safe place to keep it during cleaning. And I'm just going to open this shock spring to remove the jewels. And I love this shock spring actually, this Keef shock spring. See, just remove one side. You have three sides. Second one get unleashed and we can take it out. Just going to be with a piece of Rodico, just going to remove the jewels. I like to clean separately again, just to make sure we have a proper cleaning on this part, which are very and very very important. Okay, piece of Rodico, grabbing the jewel. Next, we're gonna open the barrel assembly again, just to make sure everything gets disassembled, to clean all the parts, remove like dried up oil, grease, and to have the best chance as possible to have a very nice running watch later on when we reassemble and re-oil and re-grease everything. Removing the barrel arbor in the middle. And I'm going to take out the spring. Just take it out slowly by rotating left and right. And you see my finger codes there, they become black. So there is some probably graphite grease because it's automatic movement. So you have probably graphite grease inside the main spring ball. But we will clean everything and we will re-lubricate all these parts the correct way. That's the main spring. And here again, just going to loosen up a bit the grease we see inside, just to make sure it get cleaned properly when we put it into the machine. Okay, we have this bridge here with a wheel with a circlip which is kept underneath that. I just release, and I can take the magic lever, cleaning the pivot from all the wheel of the train of wheel. Again, just to remove the dried up oil or grease. And we're gonna put all of these parts in the baskets. And these baskets will go into my cleaning machines. And again, like I said before, just to make sure we remove all the dried up oil, grease, and dirt for to have like a nice running watch, as nice as possible. Obviously, we see at the end which result we can get. Okay, so during the cleaning, I would like to use the opportunity to talk to you about my Patreon account. I have a Patreon account to support the channel, so you will find the links down below. You can subscribe and put some money and to help support my channel. So I would like to thanks first my existing patrons, which are Shelby, Jan, Rune, Christian, Corne, Alan, Swami, David, Ted, Tony, Michael, Stephen, John, Tim, and Gregory. I would have never imagined to have so many people supporting my channel. So thank you guys for supporting me, helping me. This will help me a lot, like to invest in better equipment and do better video. So if you want to join the group and support my channel, just go down in the description and you found a link for my Patreon page. So thanks in advance for your support. Okay, so now the parts are clean, rinsed, and dried. So we should be able to put them back together and start the reassembly of the watch. First, I'm going to reassemble the barrel assembly by putting some graphite grease on the walls. Okay, putting the main spring there. I put a new one because you see that's a watch that I want to keep in my collection. Like I said, it's the first Flyback Chronograph that I have. So yeah, I will keep it in my collection. So that's a new mainspring. It's not that expensive, and I know it will help the watch to run better, obviously, with a new one, because I have no clue if this watch was ever maintained and what's the age of the parts and the mainspring that was in it. So yeah, that's why I just prefer to put a new one. Okay, I'm just treating these parts in Epilam. This is a treatment that will a surface treatment that will keep we change the surface retention of these parts and to keep the oil in better shape when we are going to oil the parts a bit later on. We see when it's treated, I just leave it for 10, 15, 20 seconds in a Epilam solution. And all the parts now need to be dried up to remove the excess Epilam on them. Just use my blower just to dry them. Just going to remove the Epilam from the pivot point of the escape and pallet fork, because there's no point to have Epilam on a pivot point there. Just going to do both sides, obviously, on each part. And I'm going to drop a tiny drop of oil, so some 9010, right in the middle of this jewel. Just put back the chateau on top. And now we have the jewel, which is oil, and with a drop of oil, which is suspended in between these two parts, we can put it on the balance assembly. And I'm going to place back this little spring there. You see, just engage one arm. I'm going to align the second one with the hole there. Just going to press on it. Goes underneath. I'm going to do the same, rotate it gently. Going to do the same with the last arm. There we go. It just went straight underneath, and that's it. The spring is in place. Going to do the same thing on the other side. Oiling the jewel. Placing the spring. And you see, just by rotation, I always like to do it with a couple of tweezers, just like one to keep it in place and one to make the motion, the rotating motion, to have the spring engaged in the holes and in the groove, which is just below there. You see there, that's the last one. I'm just pressing on it just to engage it on the groove just below. If you want to go, yeah, that's it. It's engaged. Perfect. So the spring is in place. Just checking, just tiny bit of air blowing on the balance, if it's rotating. Yeah, that looks good. That's allow me as well to check if the air spring is in good shape. Just checking if it's flat, if the round are concentric to each other, if it's not touching anything. So that's good. And I just wanted to show you, you see that's a data sheet that you can find online on this movement from Seiko. It tells you actually how to disassemble, in which order you need to disassemble the parts, in which order you need to reassemble them, and as well, all the oiling and greasing points for the movement. So that's a very valuable piece of information. So you can, obviously you cannot find this information on all the movements. But yeah, from Seiko, actually, they are pretty good and pretty easy to find online. And this is a great piece of information because you are sure, like this, that you are not forgetting anything. Even if you see that in this video, that will not stop me to forget one part, but actually a couple of parts. But yeah, and you know, and what's most important is, like, you know where to oil and which oil or grease to use on each parts. So yeah, that's very nice when you can find this information online. It's always better. And obviously, when you cannot find it, you will have to apply a rule of thumb of about greasing and oiling. But yeah, so that's why it's always better when you can find this information on a movement. Okay, I started to assemble the keyless work. Put a couple of parts there. We have this. This is a setting lever. Again, you see me oiling and greasing like the parts as explained in a data sheet that I just show you a bit earlier. Okay, and this is like the spring, which is going to put some tension. The setting lever spring, if you want, which is, you see, it's like a very different design compared to what you can find on a Swiss movement for the keyless work assembly. See the yoke there, which is in the middle of the clutch. Yeah, very different. And we have these springs that come on the top. When we're gonna screw it, we keep all the setting lever and the yoke in place. Here we go. Just checking if it's working. Yeah, it is. Perfect. Okay, just moving back now to the balance side. Just going to oil the pivot point of this center wheel. Again, you have a jewel in the center, so that's nice. You put the wheel in place, and this one gonna oil the top as well because we have an intermediate bridge. Again with a jewel, gonna place it, secure it with a screw. Yeah, that's it. Is in place, and now we should be able to put the barrel assembly, which is, you see, like the parts are much, if you compare to when we did assemble it, and that's the power of the cleaning machine. The parts are much cleaner than when they came out of the watch. You don't see any grease or any oil that we had when we did assemble the watch. So yeah, that's why as well. You can clean parts like a different way, but this even like I have a very old machine like Elma cleaning machine. They are so nice to use, and the result that you get is much better than cleaning the parts by hand or ultrasonic, which is not sometimes like best way to clean parts. This vintage watch cleaning machine will do a great job to clean parts. Okay, that's a chronograph minute wheel, which are placing oiling all the different point. If you see the heart check cam to reset, and we have this wheel there that you have put a tiny drop of oil in. There is a tiny hole there in between the gears. Yeah, that's it. So you see that's why it's very important to have this information on the datasheet, because if you don't have it, to be fair, you will never know that you need to put a drop of oil on this wheel. Okay, placing back this plate there on top, trying to align everything. And you see again, like I said, the level of finish, which is like looks like almost like scratches and not. To be fair, it will be very rare to see that on a Swiss movement, like a good Swiss movement caliber. You will never see this type of finish. But yeah, again, it's a choice from Seiko. Probably like to spend their time and money for different things compared to other manufacturer. Yeah, but to be fair, like when you work, like I said, like as a hobby, when you work on a nice movement, a very nice decorated movement, it makes it like more enjoyable. I like to work on this movement because it's a bit more, it's like a bit more complex. So that's what makes this movement nice to work on. But yeah, when you work like on a very nice decorated and beautiful movement, every time you put a part, you say, "Wow, that's so nice." Every time you turn a part around, even on the other side is decorated, you don't stop to be amazed about the quality and the execution of the decoration. Here is different. Like yeah, it's a lot more industrial if you want, and less. Less craftsmanship is showing on this type of movement. Okay, putting the center chronograph wheel, oiling all the different point, and the next step actually, this chronograph is column wheel. You see these parts? It's like the column wheel on a Swiss movement. That's what will operate and make the movement go in a different state, which is start, stop, and reset. And we have this part there, which is basically with a vertical clutch. It's a kind of a scissors that come and go under the wheel and will decouple the wheel from the chronograph wheel. So it means that it will engage or disengage the chronograph wheel with the train of wheel, if you want, with the timekeeping element of the wheel, by going like open or close like a scissors, if you want. And this is driven by the column wheel, if you want. If you have like the position is on top of the teeth, you will have the scissors which is open, so the clutch which is engaged. And if you have the scissors which is closed when it's in holes in between the wheels, if you want, it will close and the clutch will be disengaged. That's how this kind of mechanism is working. Like I said, it's very, very, very different compared to the Swiss most of the Swiss chronograph movement that you can find in this era. Yeah, that's a total different technology and way of designing a chronograph movement. But yeah, like I said before, that's what is interesting in this hobby, in this passion. It's like each movement will be different, and it never gets boring. It never gets boring to work on this all these different type of movement. Okay, so now I'm going to carry on to assemble parts on the chronograph. Mainly, like you will have a lot of springs to assemble. And again, as always, all these parts that will be in contact, metal to metal. If you want to have obviously a smooth operation in your chronograph, and as well, if you don't want to have the parts that wear down too quickly, it's everything is very important to lubricate all these parts are in contact, metal to metal against each other. Okay, so here we have this big part there that's acting actually as a hammer. I need to arm all these springs. You have a tiny one there on the top that need to go over a pivot point. With my tweezer, I'm going to lift it and go over it. Yeah, that's it. It's in place. Okay, we have the bridge here, which is a bridge for the chronograph, for the winding mechanism, the automatic winding. I'm going to put the magic lever there, which is from Seiko. That's again, it's a very different way to do it. It's a reverse wheel. So it means like on a Swiss movement, you will have a reverse wheel, which means that you can wind your movement, like the rotor can turn in both direction. And your movement, obviously, like your watch movement can only wind in one direction. So this will automatically convert if your oscillating weight is turning in both direction, it will convert into one direction to rewind your watch, and that's what we call a reverse wheel on most of the Swiss movement. But Seiko has a very different way of doing it, which what you call the magic lever, which is this lever with the two paws there, the two arms on the side that we grab a wheel that I will install later on. And this is how the reverse wheel is working, which is a very very clever way to be fair to think about this and find a solution to this problem, to be able to wind the watch in both direction. Okay, placing circlip there. Remember, I just remember when I removed it. The ratchet wheel that go on top with this huge screw there. Okay, and I'm gonna put the pallet fork. And obviously, we are getting closer to the moment of truth to see if the movement will be working or no. Just placing the pallet fork bridge on top. And when it's aligned in a pivot hole there, we can see it. Normally the pallet fork should be moving. Yeah, looks like it's working perfect. So I can secure that with the two screws. There we go. And now I'm just trying to wind the watch with a screwdriver, and you see the wind doesn't stay in a watch. And actually where is a click on this, normally you have a click which is keeping the power in a ratchet wheel, but I cannot see it. And actually I figured it out. I forgot to install a part, is still in a box underneath, which is this one. So I had to remove the bridge, put this part back on, which is actually not attached. And you see now when I'm winding, the ratchet wheel, sorry, is not going backwards. The wind is staying in the watch, and you see the click moving at the bottom left of the wheel there. Okay, we have the power. We have the pallet fork which is clicking. Good. That's a first check. And now I'm gonna put the balance assembly. So first, need to make sure the bottom of the balance assembly is aligned in a pivot hole. Just gently aligning it. And after, we're gonna make it rotate until we have it fully in position. And we should see if the watch want to start or no. Okay, just gently putting it there. Almost, yes. No, it's not in position. It doesn't want to start yet. So I'm gonna, like I like to do, just touch it. Looks like the wheel is not perfectly in place or perfectly flat. Just need to have the balance staff, which is in the joules. You remember the 2 joules that we oil, which is not the case yet. It's not moving. Doesn't want to start yet. Just checking if he's sitting down flat. No, just you see, like you need. Oh, here we go. That's it. Just a tiny move. Perfect. We have the movement which is starting. Yes, we have a runner. That's a big relief because yeah, you didn't want sometime you just drop the part straight and we start straight away. And sometimes yeah, it will take a tiny bit more effort to have a movement starting. Yeah. Okay, so I put a wheel there where we have this, like I said, this magic lever coming around, and this is acting like all this mechanism is acting as a reversing wheel if you want. And I can place back this big oscillating weight that will move and turn around when your rest is turning, is moving. Just putting some drop of oil on the balls for the ball bearing just to make sure it's lubricated properly. Okay, so we move to the die side, and we have still quite a lot of parts. And you see, like on a chronograph mechanism, that's why I like chronograph mechanism as well. It's a lot more complex to work on, to understand how it works. When you have problems, it's harder to troubleshoot. So yeah, that's why I like chronograph, and obviously I like to wear as well. Chronograph is probably my favorite complication. So yeah, it's I love to work on chronograph and the complexity of them. Okay, so we have this huge banana spring there that need to be harmed. You see, like need to be aligned with the whole. It's quite a lot of tension actually in this spring. Again, it's not in place. Yes, that's it. That was that was quite a lot of tension in this spring. Okay, just secure it with a screw there. Perfect. Always oiling and greasing, like especially you see like with this huge spring, putting a lot of tension between the parts. If you don't oil and grease the parts, they will wear at one point, because when you will move, when you will I don't know when the parts will move, like which is for like time setting, which is when you start and stop a chronograph, whatever we each parts that need to be moved as part of the mechanism. Yeah, they need to be lubricated properly, or else you will have issue in not immediately, but at some point you will have issue, and it will be like a lot more expensive. Like if you have parts that are broken or fully wear down, can be tricky to find replacements on vintage movement, and yeah, it can be very costly. So that's why you want to maintain your vintage watches like properly. Yeah? Okay, so carry on, like I said, on the dial side now to reassemble the parts. Here you see the uh, chronograph wheel for the hour, facing back the date disc. This is a jump. That's a jumper for the date disc that makes the date jump around midnight when you set it properly. Okay, just setting it right now. Perfect. We have these plates that come on top and keep everything secure underneath. So we are progressing quite well on this movement. Obviously, like on a chronograph, you will have two things. You want the movement to run as the first thing on any watch, but after you will have the chronograph as well. You want the chronograph to run properly, and the most of the time the nice way to check it is only at the end when you put the hands back on a movement. Oh no, I forgot the parts. Oh, this is the parts that help to remove the stem. And actually, you see on a that's the one where you have the arrow on it, like the part where you have an arrow here. Yeah? There is no number on these parts. All the other parts have a number, and actually, that's the order that you need to assemble or disassemble the movement. But this one, he has no number. So actually, I forgot to put it on. So I just put a mark on this data sheet that I put that I keep obviously, and the next time I will work on his movement, I will make sure with the comment I put on it, I doesn't make this mistake again. But I don't know why they didn't put a number. To be fair, like they put a number on each single part to make sure that's the first one, that's the second one I need to put in place, the third one, and so on. But why didn't he put a number on this one? But okay, lesson learned. Um, for next time, for sure, I will remember because I put a note on my paper. Okay, I put the circlips and checking if the date is okay. We have a quick save date change that's working. Just gonna change the time now. If we were going past midnight, if you want, when you change the time, we should see a date and date jump. Just turning there. That's it. The day and date, perfect. We saw the two jump, and you see there when I'm pushing. And actually, you need to push on the crown to have a quick save day change. Yeah, that's unusual, but very nice. So that's it. The day and date looks like it's working. So I can place back the dial. Just make sure it's aligned with the holes there where you have the dial fit. Yeah, that looks better. Just secure the dial by tightening the dial fit screws. And here is a day jump. Perfect. So when the day jump is mean it's midnight, so we're gonna put the hour hand, sorry, and align it to midnight. And I'm gonna use this night tool from Orotech just to press down the hour hand in place. Just going to make it jump to midnight again, and going to do the same thing with the minute hand. Just place it in place with my carbon tip tweezer. Again, with this tweezer, just to make sure I don't scratch or damage anything. Align it to midnight, and again, we're gonna press it in place. Okay, so we're gonna just do few steps just to check first if the hand are aligned. You see 9 and the other one on 12. Perfect. And gonna check if the date is changing close to midnight. Oh, perfect. Just like 2 minutes before midnight. My tolerances is plus minus 10 minutes. And this is obviously I try to have it as close to midnight. But 2 minutes before, that's perfect. I'm very pleased with this. So, and obviously, if it's not good, like I will have to remove the hand and reset them again. Okay, putting the chronograph second hand, press it in place. That's it. And we're gonna put the other two hand first, which is the hour hand, which go below the minute hand that we're gonna put later on. I'm gonna align it to midnight. And same way, we're gonna press it in place. And obviously, a chronograph, before you set a hand of the chronograph, you always want to push the reset button because like that, when your chronograph is reset, the hand should be on the zero position, on the 12 o'clock position if you want. Do the same thing with the minute hand, which is a white hand. Perfect. And that's it. I started the chronograph. I will just let it run for a while just to make sure we see the minute and more moving. The hour obviously is a lot slower because it's a 12 o'clock. It's a 12-hour sub counter. The second hand is moving nicely. And the moment of truth as well on the chronograph is when you reset. You want all the hand that we're going to see now, see if everything go back to zero. That means you set the hand properly. So first we need to stop the chronograph. Here we go. And now we're going to reset the chronograph by pushing the pusher underneath. Yes, perfect. Everything go back perfectly to zero. Pretty pleased with my hand setting on this chronograph, so we can carry on. Okay, so we're going to focus on a case. Wow, this dial is so scratched. So we're going to try to fix that. But first, we need to remove all these dirts. I'm going to put and clean all the parts from the case in ultrasonic machine to remove the dirt first. Going to disassemble the pushers. Yeah, there is a tiny circlips inside that need to be removed. That's it. Here is a circlips there, and you see there is a spring inside. Obviously, that keeps the tension and harms the pusher when you push on it. And all of this will be go in this ultrasonic machine just to make sure, like I said, we remove all as much dirt on these parts. And the next thing we need to address is this crystal, which is pretty scratched. So I will try to remove all these scratches by grinding it on sandpaper. So I will start to use like thick grit, like 150, and I will go thinner and thinner and thinner until I get a polished finish on a crystal, and you will see the result at the end. I keep it as a surprise on the crystal. Okay, so now that the case and the different parts on the case are clean, I can reassemble the pushers, and you saw me putting a bit of grease there before on the seals, like on O-rings inside where I put the pusher, just to make sure it helps for to keep the case watertight, even if it's not a diving watch. You want to have your case as watertight as possible to avoid like dirt, dust coming inside your mechanism, and some moist, obviously, like for example when you wash your hand or rain. Obviously, I don't advise anybody to go with their vintage watches like in a swimming pool or go deep diving. But yeah, you want to have them as close as possible to a good water tightness. Okay, I just place back the crown and winding stem in a movement and in the case. That's it. And you see when I push here, the date is changing. Going to lubricate this gasket that will go around and seal the crystal and basically the movement and the dial. Again, I use some molykote there just to help the water tightness of, if you want, of this watch. Just gonna place it on the movement there. Perfect, just around the dial. And we're gonna place back a bit later on the case, sorry, with the crystal. And you see there the crystal. Oh, so nice to see like this dial without any scratches. And just gonna clip this case, which is in two pieces. So we have like a spring loading parts there that I just push with my tool. There we go. And that's it. The case is closed. Just need to put it on a strap, and we're gonna put it on a time grapher to see how well it run. Obviously, that's a good question. Okay, so let's see. So I will let it run for a little while, and you see the amplitude is starting at 250, and actually it's going to finish around 260 to 70, which is a very nice amplitude for this movement from Seiko. The bit error is around 0, so that's perfect, and it's gaining a few seconds per day. Yeah, I don't mind if a watch gain like a few seconds per day. Prefer to have it forward and backwards. And pretty pleased with the restoration on this movement. I love the result on the time grapher, and I love the look of this watch. So nice. So this one will stay in my collection. I hope you enjoy the restoration, and I see you next time for my next project. Bye bye.